Hey everyone, in this video we're going to go over some of the major changes that are taking place for the 2020 AP Biology exam due to the COVID-19 crisis. And remember, AP Biology is a trademark owned by the College Board, which is not affiliated with and does not endorse this video. Some first basic details. The exam is going to take place on Monday, May 18th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. If you don't live in this time zone, make sure you check to make sure when the time of the exam is for you. The exam is going to be about 50 minutes, but we'll go through the time breakdowns in just a moment. It is still scored 1 through 5, and colleges have already said that they will still accept the scores of this exam, even though it's going to be drastically different from any other AP exam ever done. Now, there are makeup dates for the exam as well, and that's in the first week of June. But most likely you'll be probably taking the exam on the Monday, May 18th date, unless your school has said otherwise. Now, you can take the exam on a computer, tablet, or smartphone, and you can either type and upload your response or write your response by hand and submit a photo through your cell phone. But whatever you choose to do, make sure you do that for both questions, so you can either type both questions or write by hand for both questions. You can't switch back and forth. Now, if you don't have a device, there is an online form you can submit for the College Board to help you get set up to take the exam, and I'll link that in the video below. The exam is going to include units 1 through 6, which are the chemistry of life, cell structure and function, cellular energetics, cell communication and cell cycle, heredity, gene expression, and regulation. Now, it's taking out some materials because many students did not get to these topics before schools were closed or they had to make different arrangements for instruction. Now, what is exactly on the exam? It's going to be made of 2 questions. Question 1 is going to be just like free response question 1 on the typical AP Biology exam, and we'll go into what that means in a little bit. This is going to be 65% of your exam score, and mostly it is about interpreting and evaluating experimental results. Think of it as the really long first question you might have seen on a practice exam that's worth 10 points. Question 2 is going to be 35% of the exam, and it's like free response question number 4, which is more of conceptual analysis. Now, the College Board really recommends that you log on 30 minutes before your exam, so 30 minutes before 2 p.m. Eastern Time, to get ready to take your exam. You'll have 25 minutes to answer question 1, and then an additional 5 minutes for uploading in case things go slow. Remember, once you finish question 1, you can't go back, so make sure you take the time you need to answer the question. Once you're done, you'll move on to question 2, and you can't go back to question 1, and you'll have 15 minutes to answer and 5 minutes to upload your response for this one. And if you want to review AP Biology materials, there's a lot of great resources out there. I'll link some of them in this video below, and College Board has also produced their own videos to help with instruction and review because of the COVID-19 crisis. All right, a little bit more about question 1. Question 1 is going to ask you to take a look at an authentic scenario in biology, and there'll probably be a data table or a graph, and you'll have to interpret this data table, graph, and experiment and do 4 things. So this is a 4-parter question typically. In the first part, you'll have to describe and explain concepts related to the experiment. In the second part, you'll have to identify parts of the experimental design. In the third part, you'll have to analyze some data. And in the fourth part, you'll have to make and justify predictions. For question 2, you're going to have another authentic scenario, another sort of experiment or something related to a biological phenomenon or something observed, plus a disruption to that situation. In the first part, you're going to have to describe some biologic concepts in the context of this experiment or situation. Describe biological concepts and then explain them in a second part. And in the third part, you're going to have to predict causes or effects of change. And then in the fourth part, you'll have to justify a claim. And if you've ever done the claim, evidence, reasoning format for any of your science classes, this is very similar to that. The exam is not going to include Units 7 and 8, which include natural selection and ecology, so if you're reviewing for the exam, you can leave that information for later. The College Board still recommends that you study this material and you learn it in case you are going to plan on using this exam score to replace a biology course in college. You're definitely going to want to know this material and learn it if you're using this score to be exempt from that college course, because these are really essential topics for further study in biology. You won't have to make any sort of graph because of the software requirements for that, and there will not be multiple choice on the exam. Now, a few notes on exam security. It is open book and open note, so think of things that you might want to have with you on the exam. These could be lecture notes, these could be your textbook, but make sure you have an organized study space. There is no collaboration allowed on the exam, so you can't FaceTime a friend and talk to them about the exam as it's happening. And the scores and the answers are going to be sent to your teachers afterwards, so if you plagiarize something from the internet and your writing sounds drastically different from something that you wrote for the exam, teachers can also later further let the College Board know that something fishy has gone on. The College Board has also announced that they have tools to detect plagiarism, and these they're not telling you exactly what they are, but they are going to be in effect to make sure that there is no plagiarism from the internet, no collaboration, or anything else that would be something with academic dishonesty. And any suspicion of academic dishonesty will, the College Board will cancel your score, and they'll also alert any colleges that you've ever set College Board exam scores to. So anywhere you've ever sent an SAT score, anywhere you've ever sent an AP score, they're going to let you know that there was suspicion of academic dishonesty on your AP exam if that is the case. All right, so some final details. The College Board has said there is no calculator needed. All the math you'll need to do on the AP Biology exam this year involves basic algebra, and formulas are going to be provided if you do need to use any formulas. You may still want to have a calculator on hand just to make things go quicker. It's not going to hurt you, but in case you don't have a calculator, you do not need one for the exam. Again, no graphing on the exam, so you don't have to worry about that. And really important, in the very last few minutes, if you're not finished with a question, you still want to upload what you've done, because the exam scores are still going to grade partial responses. So you can still get credit for some of your response even if you're not entirely finished with the section. So be sure to upload what you've got once that timer runs down. All right, I'm going to link a lot of the resources I mentioned below. Thanks so much for watching, and good luck on this exam. This is a really tough time for lots of students and teachers, and I'm sure everyone is rising to the challenge during this strange opportunity. So good luck, and thanks for watching.